Crafting a playlist for your wedding's cocktail hour and dinner service isn't as hard as it seems. It's honestly really easy because you have a lot of choices. At a typical wedding, after your ceremony, the bride and groom are whisked away to take photographs with the photographer and the videographer, and your guests are kind of chilling, hanging around for cocktail hour. That usually involves, obviously, some alcoholic beverages, some hors d'oeuvres, while your guests are chatting, catching up, having a good time, and waiting for the big arrival of the bride and groom into the reception. That begs the question, what kind of music do you play for the cocktail hour and then for dinner as well? So right off the bat, do you want one playlist for your cocktail hour and then a completely separate music playlist for your dinner service? Well, if you ask 100 DJs, you're going to get 100 different answers. For weddings that I'm curating music for, I normally have the cocktail hour and the dinner music as the same playlist. I don't feel like they're different enough events to necessitate having two completely different styles of music play during them. But you absolutely can. If you want the cocktail hour to be more upbeat and fun, and then dinner a little bit more sexy and romantic, you can totally do that. Nobody's gonna bat an eye. So if you're doing cocktail hour and dinner the same or different, what kind of music do you play? The cool thing is here, the sky's the limit. You really can play, and I know I've said this before on this channel, whatever you want. If you go on Pinterest or The Knot or websites like that, I'm sure you're gonna get very specific playlists, but you can honestly play whatever you and your partner deem best for your cocktail hour and dinner during your wedding. Now, at a traditional wedding, and again, traditions are just ideas made up by dead people, so do whatever you want because they're all dead now. Traditionally, you're gonna hear stuff like Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., the Rat Pack, things like that. And that always works, in my opinion, really well. If you're having more of an upscale wedding, maybe a black tie affair, a very fancy venue, and it's a very upscale event, you can absolutely get away with playing that kind of stuff. Or if your wedding's a little bit more low-key and you just like the Rat Pack, go ahead and play it. It always sets a good mood. If you want something a little bit more sexy and romantic, a lot of couples will opt for like a jazz, smooth jazz, dinner jazz playlist. You can find a lot of good ones on Spotify, and those really do make it feel like sexy and upscale. But in my opinion, sometimes those playlists can get a little boring because there's no words to the music and it's a little bit more just uneventful. I was actually DJing a wedding a couple of weeks ago, and during dinner we were asked to play jazz music, and a little boy came up to me and he goes, "Can you guys play some songs with words in them?" And I laughed and I go, "That's actually a really good point." Now, some DJs will say, well, you can't play music with lyrics during cocktail hour and during dinner because people are talking, they're going to be combating with the lyrics and blah, 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 blah. I completely disagree with that. I look at it like this. You know when you walk into Target or walk in the mall and they're playing music on the overhead speakers, you're not really paying attention to what's playing. It's just there to kind of fill the air so it's not dead quiet. And I'm sure some people will disagree with me. That's kind of the purpose of the music during cocktail hour and dinner at your wedding. It's to set the mood, set the vibe, and fill the air. I've seen a lot of blogs that say, here's the top 100 songs about love to play during your dinner service. And that's really cool, but no one's going to be paying attention and no one's going to be paying attention to the lyrics unless they know and like the songs. And that takes me to my next point. I've spent the last few years crafting what I consider to be a really good playlist for cocktail hour and dinner at your wedding. And it's a lot more modern. There's bands on there like Third Eye Blind, Matchbox 20, Taylor Swift, Jessie J, Kelly Clarkson, Pink. A lot of, more modern artists. Nothing too loud or crazy or like we're at the club. Just something for people in their chairs to listen to while they're eating dinner or enjoying a cocktail during cocktail hour and kind of go, oh, wow, this music's pretty cool already. And I can always tell I've got a good wedding crowd if they're sitting there at dinner singing along or just mouthing along to the lyrics in their chair while they're eating because they're ready to dance and party. I spent a long time really perfecting that playlist, and I think it works really well. And honestly, if you're interested in looking at it, let me know. Maybe I'll post it so you guys can download it and check it out in the future. Now, what if the couple is a couple of rockers and they go to all the rock concerts, got a bunch of tattoos and earrings, and they're kind of out there, a little eclectic? You want to play classic rock during your cocktail hour and dinner? Totally fine. Now, I'd stay away from anything too extreme, like, I wouldn't play Slayer during a cocktail hour, which I would personally like, but it might be a little extreme. But if you want to play maybe a Metallica song, AC/DC, some Guns N' Roses, stuff people are familiar with, I think that's totally fine if that's the mood you're going for. Or if you're going for grown and sexy, you can definitely put together a very cool R&B playlist. I wouldn't play anything too sexual and too explicit, obviously, but if that's the mood you're going for, totally play that. The point I'm trying to make here, as in all my videos, is play whatever you and your partner like best and whatever fits the vibe of your energy and your wedding. I always find it weird at a wedding if during cocktail hour they're playing Frank Sinatra and then at the reception they're playing Megan Thee Stallion Body and Cardi B Up. It just feels like a weird disconnect, and you can get away with it, but I like to set the mood really early during the wedding so the guests and even the bride and groom know what they're gonna get during the reception on the dance floor. So definitely do your research and find out what kind of vibe you and your partner want to put out in the air for your wedding, what kind of feelings you want your guests to feel before the open dance floor during the reception. And if you've got questions about how to craft those playlists, just leave me a comment below. I'm always happy to help. On next week's episode, we're going to talk about something that's really important for your wedding, your first dance song. And also songs for your daddy-daughter dance, mother-son dance, and any other specialty dances you want to feature during your wedding or reception. There's a million choices of songs to play, but I think couples make one big mistake that I see a lot, and we'll talk about it more next week. Because planning a wedding can be a lot, but you don't want to get stuck on those little details. Just cut the f***ing cake.